Hello. Today's episode number 38 of the Professor Slots podcast is the Ultimate Slots History Guide. Last episode, I finished the last of 56 state-by-state reviews. In this episode, I'll be going back to the beginning with this online resource I've created for you. I'm doing this because it's a time of dynamic change in the state of slots gambling in the United States. Let's find out together what's happening after 56 weeks since I last reviewed the current state of slot machine gambling in the great U.S. states of Alabama and Alaska. Because this is the second time through all 56 states, territories, and federal district, I've added a few new subsections. Previously, in the first series, the subsections covered included an introduction, relevant legal statutes on gambling, slot machine private ownership, casinos, and a summary. For this second series, I've added a few new subsections. These include breaking down casinos into the top 2 casinos, the non-tribal casinos, the American Indian casinos, and other gambling establishments like those that might be found in nearby states. Finally, due to its importance to us slots enthusiasts, I've started a new subsection called Payout Returns for available information on theoretical and actual payout returns for that state, territory, or federal district. Thank you for joining me for the Professor Slots podcast show. I'm John Friedel, and this is the podcast about slot machine casino gambling. It is where I provide knowledge, insights, and tools for helping you improve your slot machine gambling performance.
John Friedel from the Professor Slots blog reveals all his tips and tricks for thriving in the casino environment. Choose winning slot machines and identify your gambling goals. Being entertained, earning comps, winning take-home cash, or combining them. John has won 90 taxable jackpots and a luxury car in 9 months of slot play and made a profit at slots gambling since 2013.
In case you missed it, last week I reviewed 12 states and 1 territory, including Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. Slot machine casino gambling. Phew, I'm glad there's no need to do so many of those again. I hope you enjoyed listening to my last episode as much as I enjoyed making it for you. I'd also like to take a quick moment to let you know what goodies I've been working on back in the lab, as it were. Frankly, for me, Professor Slots is a business. I mean, it's fun to learn everything needed to produce a podcast, run a website, etc. However, and if you're a regular listener, you likely already figured this out, I'm primarily doing this to be of service to you, my favorite slots enthusiast. To do so, though, to me, means doing so professionally. To be responsible, to do it right. Like playing slots, this is fun. But also like casino slots, it's serious fun. So of late, I've been educating myself to do just that. First, it was improving podcast sound quality. What is EQ anyway, and if I had any such thing, how would I know? Like most of these, it took a whole month to figure it out. Next came the website. Sure, I had a fairly decent website already set up and running. Or so I thought. What I hadn't realized was how much attention I needed to anything that would help Google see what I was up to. I could use terms like keyword phrases and search engine optimization, word count and H1 tags, but I'll stop there. Again, setting all that to simply be better took another month. Suffice to say, a lot of the last year and the year before was spent setting up a website, podcast, logo, catchphrase, social media sites, and basically learning the basics. This year, however, while everything else was going on, I needed to fix all those things to make them better, and now they are. What I'm trying to get to here is that you will perhaps have noticed or will soon notice a few improvements. For the podcast, I'll be presenting more slots-related topics, which hopefully you will continue to find more and more interesting. Also, if you happen to visit my website at professorslots.com, you'll notice that just about all my posts have a podcast player linked directly to the podcast episode segment on that post. That's what was completed on the last episode, by the way. Also, I've set up my second of 3 bedrooms in my home, also known as the Nonfiction Library, as a video studio. I'd actually already done this, but it just wasn't good enough by, a lot. And now it's a lot better, and easier than ever to record videos for my Professor Slots YouTube channel. Its URL is a long, complicated mess, so I've made the rather simple link, if I do say so myself, of professorslots.com/YouTube. Before too long, I'll have a bunch more Professor Slots videos completed and ready to upload every 2 days or so. Oh, and did I mention that it shouldn't be too long before I switch back to weekly podcasts instead of every 2 weeks? Finally, let's talk books. As you may know, if you've been listening for a while, I have a book on Amazon Kindle, including an ebook and softcover print-on-demand versions. It's called Learning to Win, and it's due for a revision. Earlier this year, I told a listener, John C. from Connecticut, hey John, that I had no plans to revise it. Well, John, that's changed. I'm working on a substantial revision, which I hope to have available in a few months. Why so long? Well, that's the other thing. I've thought of another Professor Slots book topic I also want to get published in the next few months. It'll be about my state-by-state online resource. Basically, I'm planning to make it an offline resource by putting the first 56 articles, that is to say Series 1, into ebook format, with a few additions. Then, a year later, I'll publish the second series of 56 posts that I'm currently working on into the 2019 version, and so on. To be clear, this is not about making money. If anyone is making money, believe me, it's Amazon. My cut is, well, tiny. Don't get me wrong, they gave me a bigger cut than I'd get if it wasn't self-published. How do I know that? Well, of course, I spent a month 2 years ago educating myself about how nonfiction book publishing works. What did I learn? Well, authors don't write books to make money. I write books because some people only read books, so it's the only way I can reach them. You know, like a lot of people who listen to podcasts, or people who like YouTube videos, or use Facebook or Twitter, or any of the other places I've made myself known as Professor Slots. So that happened. For you. But, this is a business, right? So I'll need to make money to pay my bills and maybe, someday quit my day job for this business. How do I plan to make money, you ask? That's something else I've figured out. Yes, it took a whole month to figure it out, naturally. So, between you and me, here's my plan for making money. I don't. At least not for a while. For now, my day job supports this business. My primary task at this time is to reach podcast listeners such as yourself. Googling Googlers, YouTube watchers, Twitter tweeters, Facebook memers, and whoever else will listen, watch, or read to subscribe to my email list at professorslots.com/subscribe, because I give you free and useful stuff. Later, when I've reached a certain critical mass of email subscribers, of which I'm currently just over 20% of this goal, I currently expect to offer you and them an online video series about everything you and they need and want to know about slot machine casino gambling. Don't worry, I'll make sure I spend at least a full month making them all succinct, useful, and everything good and wonderful. But don't hold your breath, because it's going to be a while. I'm only at 20% of my goal, remember? If you want it to happen a little faster than 1 to 2 years from now, there is something you can do to help. How about you tell someone else who likes slots to listen to this podcast, or visit my website at professorslots.com and, let nature take its course. Thanks for your indulgence and patience with this maybe not so quick update, but I thought you'd want to know. Now, let's get on with the show. Remember to visit professorslots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Let's get started with the first segment of the show, the Ultimate Guide to Slot Machine History. 1. Introduction to Ultimate Slots History Guide. As of 2018, The first coin-operated slot machine was invented just over 131 years ago. That's a lot of slot machine history. However, understanding it provides insight into the next technological advances to expect from this entertainment machine. In a hopefully fun and interesting way, I'll highlight developments in gaming machines having slots for accepting coins as a sequence of events. Several significant areas of slot machine history include technology, popularity, and government regulations. As you'll learn, slot machine popularity waxed and waned alongside the governmental responses to this kind of gambling. The first coin-operated slot machines were invented in or around 1887. Nowadays, we have modern-day penny slots and networked progressive slot machines. Gaming machines show no signs of doing anything other than just keep on developing and improving, likely for another 130 years and beyond. This episode has the following 12 subsections. Don't worry, they'll go quick. 1. Introduction to slot machine history. 2. Charles Fay, the father of slot machines. 3. Bell Fruit Gum slot machines. 4. American Prohibition, 1920 to 1933, the golden age of slots. 5. Nevada legalized gambling in 1931. 6. Decades of Bally slot machine development efforts. 7. The computer microchip revolution of the 1980s. 8. Arrival of the Internet and better computers in the 1990s. 9. Online slots and involvement with governments. 10. The first rewards clubs. 11. Computer networks, progressive slot machines, and more. And 12. Summary of slot machine history. 2. Charles Fay, the father of slot machines. The Liberty Bell, arguably the first slot machine for gambling with automatic payouts, was invented in 1887 by Bavarian-born Charles Fay in San Francisco, California. Given a natural disaster I'll mention momentarily, there is some debate as to the exact year. This slot machine simulated the card game of poker, having 3 spinning wheels, each with 5 symbols: diamonds, hearts, horseshoes, spades, and an image of the Liberty Bell. It even had the first slot machine payout table. The highest jackpot, 50 cents, or 10 nickels, occurred when all 3 reels showed a golden Liberty Bell. It was wildly popular and a massive success. Prior to Charles Fay's 1887 invention in San Francisco, there were gambling machines, but they didn't have slots for coins. Therefore, despite prior technologies being used in that device, Fay's coin-operated machine is generally considered to be the first true slot machine. Given the aforementioned loss of historical records, it's worth mentioning that the Sitman and Pitt Company of Brooklyn, New York, was developing a coin-operated slot machine at around the same time. It was based on 5-card poker, as it had 5 reels. Fay is generally considered to be the father of slots, both due to his invention but also because he popularized the game. For example, he didn't sell his slot machines. Instead, he rented them for 50% commission of the revenues. Fay's San Francisco workshop is a California historical landmark. Many of Charles Fay's innovations are still common in modern slot machines, including coin-operated, operated by pulling a small handle, rented, not sold, for a portion of gaming revenue, and a pay table display. Few Liberty Bell slot machines currently exist. About 100 of them remain of those originally manufactured by Charles Fay in San Francisco, as most were lost in the 1906 San Francisco earthquake. According to Marshall Fay's fascinating book about his family history, Slot Machines, A Pictorial Guide to the First 100 Years, fires created by the earthquake, quote, that day eventually consuming all of the city's slot machine factories, including their tooling and inventory, end quote. And further, the fires, quote, hit most of the city's 2,000 businesses which had slots locations, destroying thousands of machines and the coins which they contained, end quote. 3. Bell Fruit Gum slot machines. Starting in 1907, Bell Fruit Gum slot machines were manufactured by Industry Novelty Company. This was quickly followed the next year by Mills Novelty Company of Chicago, which had been inherited by Herbert Stephen Mills. The reels on these machines included cherry, melon, orange, apple, and bar symbols, with non-cash payouts in the form of fruit-flavored gum, allowing machine owners to avoid prosecution under the anti-gambling laws of that time. The cherry and bar symbols became traditional to slot machines and are still commonly used today. The Mills slot machine added the photograph of a chewing gum pack along with the fruit reel symbols. Soon after, these photographs were replaced with a stylized bar symbol, the Mills Company logo. Photographs of early slot machines are available online at Cyprus Casino Consultant, Casino Observer, and the International Arcade Museum. For more on the rather interesting, if somewhat shady, history between Charles Fay and Herbert Stephen Mills, as well as an analysis of these early slot machine photographs, see my post called Why Do Slot Machines Say Bar on the Reel Symbols, available way back in podcast episode number 11. Thanks to the efforts of Charles Fay and other early slot manufacturers, by 1910 slot machines could be found worldwide. Europe had mass-produced 30,000 of them. In America, they could be found in most cigar stores, saloons, bowling parlors, brothels, and barbershops. Improvements immediately made in slot machines were 1. Cast iron machines replaced with wooden cabinets. 2. Improved mechanicals allowed for back-to-back jackpots, not possible in earlier designs. 3. New coin acceptor developed to limit the use of fake coins, that is to say, slugs. And 4. Machines were designed to be quieter. In 1909, new laws began to be introduced prohibiting slot machines from dispensing cash, with the results of slot machines having the aforementioned non-cash payouts of fruit-flavored gum. 4. American Prohibition, 1920 to 1933, the golden age of slots. From 1920 to 1933 is when Prohibition existed in America, making the consumption or supply of alcohol illegal. Since slot machines were mainly found in bars and saloons, they moved to speakeasies alongside the distribution of alcohol and returned to offering cash prizes. Slot machine popularity increased even more. The time of Prohibition is also referred to as the Golden Age of Slots due to this tremendously increased popularity. 5. Nevada legalized gambling in 1931. Gambling was legalized in the state of Nevada in 1931, the first state to do so. This was done due to the increasing popularity of gambling despite governmental pressure on the gaming industry. In the 1940s, an early slot machine was installed in the Flamingo Hotel in Las Vegas. By doing so, American mobster Bugsy Siegel showed slot machines to be a lucrative business opportunity for casinos. After World War II, municipalities were drawn by the prospect of tax revenue, and exponential growth occurred in the manufacturing and playing of slot machines well into the 1960s. 6. Decades of Bally slot machine development efforts. Slot machine development advanced from a fully mechanical machine to an electromechanical device in 1963 with the Money Honey slot machines by Bally Technologies, a company formerly limited to the manufacturing of pinball machines. Besides improving gameplay and all manner of flashing lights and sounds, electrical components allowed for multi-coin bets with higher payouts. By 1970, Bally had added more reels and more coin handling improvements to allow for more coins and higher denominations, resulting in larger jackpots for consumers. Bally went public in 1975, trading on the New York Stock Exchange as the first gaming company. The first true electronic slot machine, that is to say video slot machine, was developed in 1976 in Las Vegas, Nevada. It was placed in the Hilton Hotel in Las Vegas, and after further security modifications were made against cheating, received approval from the state of Nevada. Atlantic City, New Jersey legalized gambling in 1978, by which time Bally had cornered 90% of the market for slot machines. Bally continued to add reels, knowingly decreasing the odds of winning, but also increasing the size of jackpots. Over time, the number of symbols per reel were increased to a maximum of 25, and wagers were raised to $5, $25, and eventually $100. Bally also hired a computer programmer to increase the size of jackpots without losing profits for the company. which was accomplished by utilizing a random number generator, RNG, resulting in yet another technological revolution in slot machine gaming. For the first patented RNG, see U.S. patent number 4,448,419, awarded in 1984 to Ignay Telnius, entitled Electronic Game Device Utilizing a Random Number Generator for Selecting the Real Stop Positions. This patent is freely available via Google Patents Online. 7. The computer microchip revolution of the 1980s. In the 1980s, computer microchips allowed a leap forward in slot machine technological advances, including video slots, online slots, and linked machines for progressive slots. In Las Vegas in 2003, a linked slot machine with a shared jackpot reached an extremely large size before it was won, nearly $40 million. One of the first slot machines with video reels was the Fortune coin by Walt Reilly. Slot manufacturer IGT purchased its patent from Fortune Coin, then developed it further to overcome an initial distrust of this new technology by slot machine players, as well as improving its overall technical operation. Due to the application of targeted marketing techniques, video poker machines were found to be fair and could be trusted, thereby overcoming people's initial skepticism over how fair the video slot machines would be and building a public perception of trust. 8. Arrival of the Internet and better computers in the 1990s. In the 1990s, the advent of the Internet and increasingly fast and powerful computers allowed for the first electromechanical slot machines with bonus games, multiple lines, and the modern version of online slots. With today's ready online access, casinos have established a wide base of slots players, while online game developers are mostly only limited by their imagination. The first video slot machine with 2 screens was created in Australia in 1994, followed by America in 1996. The second screen was used to provide the player with a different environment in which bonuses could be played. 9. Online slots and involvement of governments. Online slots began in 1994 with the passing of the Free Trade and Processing Act by Antigua and Barbuda in the Caribbean, allowing companies from all over the world to open online casinos legally. Online gaming software was first developed by Microgaming. The first online casino, Internet Gaming Inc., or ICI, was launched in 1995, and Intercasino began the following year. The online gambling industry grew prodigiously in the years following, with a number of available software companies, online casinos, and games. To protect and support online players, the Canadian Coawake Gaming Commission was established in 1996. What followed was a period in which brick-and-mortar casinos were financially threatened by the sudden influx of online casinos, where players were depositing money to make wagers and played various games of chance online. In 2006, market competition between land casinos and online casinos had become intermittent when the U.S. Senate passed the Unlawful Internet Gaming Enforcement Act, UIGEA, which, in part, banned wire money transactions to and from the accounts of online gambling companies. Further, it prohibits, among other things, a casino operator from accepting a bet by means of the Internet when it's already prohibited where the bet is initiated or made. Such transactions have potentially severe criminal and civil sanctions attached, as imposed by the UIGEA, upon both the casino operator and on financial institutions involved in the wager. However, it does allow for wagers placed within a single state, where the method for placing and receiving the bet is authorized by that state's law, provided that the intermediate routing of the transmission does not extend outside of the state. In the U.S., only state-sanctioned casinos could legally have physical slot machines. By 2013, some local-level governments within the state of Illinois have allowed bars and restaurants in their jurisdictions to allow slot machines and other electronic gaming machines. 10. The first rewards clubs. Going back to the early 1980s, the airline industry introduced the first casino loyalty programs. Since that introduction, they have shown significant growth in the tourism and hospitality industries, among many others. These loyalty programs often take an industry-wide adoption approach of follow the leader, where competitors quickly adopt a loyalty program if their competitors have done so. Customer loyalty programs have always existed in the gaming industry, especially by casinos employing hosts to create personal relationships with their premium players by providing complimentary rewards. More recently, along with technological sophistication, came casino customer slots clubs for all casino patrons, which casino operators attempt to use in order to create a competitive advantage. Casinos offer players club rewards based on amount of play. Being able to track how much each player spent gambling allows a casino to value the complimentary gifts they give to these players. Previously, it was left up to casino operators and managers to determine whether a player would be offered a free dinner, a hotel room, cruise, or other comp based on their relationship. Given the relatively overwhelming number of people frequenting casinos, it became ineffective for casinos to depend on employees judging the performance of players. In essence, the introduction of players' clubs allowed a finer control over company costs, thereby improving casino profits. Becoming a member was also to the advantage of most players with regards to being relatively fair in the distribution of complimentary gifts or comps. Episode number 16 of this podcast went over players' rewards clubs in detail. 11. Computer networks, progressive slot machines, and more. In the early 2010s, slot machine manufacturers introduced yet another revolutionary technological change: computer network connectivity. The most obvious change of this feature to slot machine appearance was replacing LED signs having single-color displays to multi-color LCD touchscreens for the player reward system. With these touchscreens and the associated connectivity to the casino's computer network, players were able to order drinks whenever desired without waiting for an attendant to appear nearby. As a result, this connectivity allowed casinos to somewhat reduce their labor force of waiters and waitresses, again resulting in a corresponding increase in company profits. Another technological change introduced recently has been the ability of the player to choose the value of each credit from a limited number of possible values. While this is a somewhat minor feature, it provides evidence of the slot machine gambling gaming industry providing convenience to their customers as well as increasing casino profits. The labor force of slot technicians was reduced again as this higher level of connectivity to slot machines allowed casinos to fully eliminate one role of their slot machine attendants: the relatively time-consuming task of physically updating the payout odds on each and in every individual machine. Technicians still service slot machines for both planned and unplanned maintenance, but each machine's network connection to a computer hub now finally controls the payout odds of slot machines. The consequences of this change in payout odds being finally controlled by the casino has been discussed as some of the origin of my slot strategies. Specifically, I explain how to beat the algorithm used to improve playing odds from below the typical payout return percentage of, say, 90 to 98%, where you would be losing money, to having effective odds over 100%. That is to say, making money over time. In other words, this latest technological innovation has turned slot machine gambling from a mostly luck-based game of chance to a skill-based game where the skill is understanding casino business practices. 12. Summary of slot machine history. In summary, coin-operated slot machines have had a rich 130-plus year history. Understanding how they have developed over time is useful to both you and I, and we gain useful insights into what may very well happen next. Or, at the least, we will be less surprised by what will become, eventually, yet more slot machine history. Areas of existing slot machine history include the key elements of technology, popularity, and regulatory responses of state and federal governments. This episode segment began with Charles Fay in 1887, considered the father of slots, for his innovations and popularization efforts. Herbert Stephen Mills, known as the Henry Ford of slot machines, quickly followed with his mass production efforts of early coin-operated slot machines. This was followed by World War I, a time when slot machines began being mass-produced around the world. This was shortly followed by American Prohibition, the golden age of slots, from 1920 to 1933, alongside Nevada legalizing gambling in 1931. For decades afterwards, Slot machine technologies were primarily developed by Bally Technologies, much later purchased by Scientific Games Corporation. These commonly known technologies include the random number generator, as well as multiple pay lines and denominations. This episode segment concludes with the introduction of computer microchips, the Internet, offshore online gaming, federal laws to protect players, rewards clubs, and the recent innovation of centralized computers being used to control slot machine odds in casinos. Remember to visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Up next is the second segment of the show on slot machine casino gambling. Here, I provide a brief overview of the current state of gambling in 2 U.S. states, territories, or federal district, emphasizing, by far, anything of interest to slot machine casino gamblers. Up first is Alabama Slot Machine Casino Gambling 2018. Here goes. Alabama slot machine casino gambling consists of Class II gaming machines. In Alabama, these machines have the appearance of slot machines, but are not of the style usually seen elsewhere. In actuality, these machines are single-player bingo games where each machine's spinning reels are for, quote, entertainment purposes only, end quote. There are 3 American Indian tribal casinos and 1 parimutuel facility, Racino, offering Class II bingo-style slots in Alabama. There are no legal limits on theoretical payout returns at Alabama tribal casinos. Also, the tribal casinos of Alabama are not required to provide actual payout return statistics about their gaming machines. The minimum gambling age in Alabama depends upon the gambling activity. For land-based casinos, it's 21. For poker rooms, it's 21. For bingo, 18. For the lottery, it's not available. And for parimutuel wagering, it's 18. Alabama's bingo-style slots are rapid-paced machines with whirling displays and chimes that resemble slot machines. Casino owners argue these machines are allowed by state laws. In 2016, the Alabama Supreme Court twice ruled that electronic bingo is illegal in the state. The most recent Supreme Court decisions were made in December of 2016. In part, they reversed a lower court judgment siding with a casino. Up next is the usually short statement about slot machine private ownership, which I have included in case you live in this U.S. state and are considering owning a slot machine there. Here it is. Private ownership of a traditional Class III slot machine in Alabama is illegal. However, it is legal to privately own a Class II or bingo-style gaming machine. Alabama has not yet established a state gaming commission. The tribal casinos are regulated through the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act, IGRA, of 1988, a federal law. Alabama has not yet negotiated a state-tribal compact with the federally recognized Porch Band of Creek Indians to allow for Class III Vegas-style gaming machines within existing American Indian tribal casinos in Alabama. The parimutuel wagering facilities are regulated by state law. In this next section, I'll discuss Alabama casinos. As usual, the website links for each casino, assuming that they have set up a website, is available by clicking on this segment in the show notes available at ProfessorSlots.com/E38. There are 3 American Indian tribal casinos and 1 non-tribal Racino in Alabama. The largest casino in Alabama is Quincy's 777 Casino and Victory Land Greyhound Park in Shorter, having 3,200 gaming machines and no table games. The second largest casino in Alabama is Wind Creek Casino and Hotel Wetumpka in Wetumpka, having 2,520 gaming machines and also 0 table games. Alabama has 1 Racino. This Racino is a dog racing parimutuel wagering facility with simulcast betting as well as a separate casino with slot machines. This is Quincy's 777 Casino in Victoryland Greyhound Park in Shorter, located 25 miles east of Montgomery. Alabama has 3 tribal casinos. 1. Wind Creek Casino Hotel Atmore in Atmore, located 50 miles northeast of Mobile. 2. Wind Creek Casino Hotel Wetumpka in Wetumpka, located 20 miles northeast of Montgomery. And 3. Wind Creek Casino Hotel Montgomery in Montgomery. These 3 tribal casinos are operated by the Porch Band of Creek Indians. They have offered Class II bingo gaming since 1988. The tribe's reservation is located in Atmore. The tribe is one of the most successful in the country at Class II gaming, said Robert McGee in 2015, vice chair of the tribal casino for the Porch Band of Creek Indians, in a mid-2015 article available online. Per the IGRA of 1988, Class III Vegas-style gaming at tribal casinos requires a state-tribal compact be negotiated between the state and a federally recognized tribe within that state, then approved by the U.S. Department of Interior. Alabama and the Porch Band of Creek Indians have yet to negotiate such a state-tribal compact. There is no state lottery available in Alabama. At the time of this recording, there is no law prohibiting online gambling in Alabama. As an alternative to enjoying Alabama slot machine casino gambling, consider exploring casino options in the nearby states of, to the north, Tennessee, to the east, Georgia, to the south, Florida, and to the west, Mississippi. Each of these individual states are reviewed on my website at professorslots.com/two-letter designation for that state. So professorslots.com/TN for Tennessee, slot machine casino gambling. There are no legal limits on theoretical payout returns for the Class II bingo-style gaming machines available in Alabama tribal casinos. The tribal casinos of Alabama are not required to provide actual payout return statistics about their gaming machines, at least not publicly. In summary, for those of us that are interested in slot machine gambling, there really isn't any such thing as Alabama slot machine casino gambling. Slots consist only of Class II bingo-style slot machines, where the reels are for entertainment purposes only. Class II bingo-style machines are offered at 3 American Indian tribal casinos and 1 parimutuel facility racino. There are no legal limits on payout returns, nor are payout return statistics publicly available for any of the gambling establishments. Considering annual progress in Alabama over the last 56 weeks, in October 2016, Alabama Governor Robert Bentley created a new commission to study gambling and make recommendations to the Alabama legislature. This 7-member commission is called the Alabama Advisory Council on Gaming. In January 2017, the Montgomery Advertiser reported a delay on the Alabama gambling report being produced by the Alabama Advisory Council on Gaming. Since then, there has been no known progress in establishing an Alabama State Gaming Commission. Alabama and the Porch Band of Creek Indians have yet to negotiate a state tribal compact to allow for Class III Vegas-style gaming machines in Alabama. Remember to visit professorslots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Up next is Alaska Slot Machine Casino Gambling 2018. Here goes. Alaska slot machine casino gambling simply does not exist, as there are no casinos located in Alaska having electronic gaming machines. However, there are a few pull-tab casinos, quote-unquote, and community bingo halls, as well as a few visiting cruise ships. The minimum gambling age in Alaska depends upon the gambling activity. For land-based casinos, it's 21, and these are those pull-tab casinos I mentioned. For poker rooms, it's unavailable. For bingo, it's 19. For the lottery, it's not available. And it's also not available for parimutuel wagering. Regarding slot machine private ownership, in Alaska, it is legal as long as it is not being offered as a gaming machine for unlawful gambling. Alaska has not yet established a state gaming commission or gaming control board. Relevant to eventually having video lottery terminal slot machines, Alaska has also yet to establish a state lottery. Class II gaming facilities are authorized by the Federal National Indian Gaming Commission, NIGC. The NIGC was established by the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act of 1988, a federal law. These facilities offer bingo and pull-tab games. Most recently, in 2008, voters were asked whether they wanted to legalize gambling and establish an Alaska Gaming Commission. It failed with 61% against. Alaska does not have any Las Vegas-style casinos nor parimutuel facilities. However, it does have pull-tab casinos as well as many community bingo halls. There are 0 non-tribal casinos, 10 American Indian tribal casinos, 0 non-tribal casinos, and 2 cruise ships based in Alaska. The largest gambling establishment in Alaska is the Mick Gaming Hall in Malaktia, having 90 pull-tab machines, bingo, and 0 table games. There are no non-tribal casinos available in Alaska other than cruise ship options mentioned already. The American Indian tribal casinos in Alaska, while not casinos strictly speaking, are gambling establishments offering either bingo, pull tabs, or both. And these are Agate Pull Tabs in Sandpoint, Atka-era Council Pull Tabs in Atka, Klawak IRA Pull Tab Shop in Klawak, operated by the Metlakatla Indian Community, Mick Gaming Hall in Metlakatla, and the native village of Barrow Pull Tabs in Barrow. The community halls offering only bingo are Juneau Thingit and Hadi Tribal Bingo in Juneau, Cake Tribal Heritage Bingo, and Sitka Tribal Bingo in Sitka. Regarding other gambling establishments, there is no state lottery available in Alaska. As an alternative to enjoying Alaska slot machine casino gambling, consider exploring these visiting cruise ship options. In Anchorage, Crystal Cruises, Crystal Serenity, and in Juneau, Royal Caribbean International's Radiance of the Seas. Finally, Vegas-style casinos with traditional slot machines do exist in Canada. From Ketchikan in southern Alaska, it's only 50 miles to Chance's Prince Rupert Casino in British Columbia. It has 100 slot machines and 12 table games. The next nearest Canadian casino is located 2,200 miles further south, specifically Casino Nanamio in Port Place across the Strait of George from Vancouver, British Columbia. It has 350 slot machines as well as Vegas-style table game options. Regarding payout returns, there are no casinos in Alaska and therefore no theoretical or actual payout return statistics available. In summary, again, Alaska slot machine casino gambling does not exist as there are no casinos in this state. The difficulty facing tribes with developing casinos is twofold. 1. The land they are constructed on must be trust or restricted land, which is limited in Alaska. And 2. The much more usual issue of the state not yet approving casino-style gaming. Regarding progress in Alaska over the last 56 weeks, there have been no change regarding the legal status of having slot machines available in Alaska. However, bingo community halls and pull-tab gambling establishments have shown some small changes. Specifically, combined pull-tab and bingo facilities in Alaska has increased from 6 to 8 establishments. Most of the previously existing establishments from 1 year ago still exist. However, they appear to have different, if similar, business names. Remember to visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Part 1 of the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast is expected to be a review of the slot manufacturer International Games Technology PLC 2018 to get an idea of how are they doing, as well as reviewing their best thoughts on how the slots industry is coming along from a business perspective. Part 2 of the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast are more brief reviews of the current state of gambling in 2 U.S. states, territories, or federal district. Next time, I'll be talking to you about the great U.S. territory of American Samoa and the great U.S. state of Arizona. Here's to looking forward to learning what's changed with slots at these places over the last year. That's the end of another great episode of the Professor Slots podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Show notes for this episode are now available within most podcast apps, but are also available on my website at ProfessorSlots.com/E38, where E38 stands for episode 38. I plan to have the next episode come out very soon for you, where I'll have more amazing content for the show. Until the next episode, have fun, be safe, and make good choices. Bye.